The last text on my wife's hidden phone, sent at 11:47 p.m. on March 15th, read, "2 more years and we split 1.2 million. Just keep him happy and dumb." I was standing in our garage, hands shaking so hard, I nearly dropped the burner phone I'd just pulled from inside her Pilates bag, and the man she'd sent it to, my best friend since college. If you've got some time, and maybe something to drink, settle in. Because what started as suspicion of a simple affair turned into discovering a 2-year conspiracy to financially destroy me, and the revenge I took. Well, let's just say I'm not the nice guy I used to be. So why did I stay silent for 4 whole weeks after finding that phone? Because I learned something important. When you're the good guy, the one everyone can count on, the one who always chooses peace over confrontation, people assume you'll stay that way. They count on it. They build their plans around it. And that's exactly what my wife Jennifer and my best friend Kyle did. They counted on me never looking. That was their first mistake. 6 months earlier, my life looked perfect. I'm Michael, I'm 36, and I own Reynolds Family Dentistry in a nice suburb of Phoenix. 12 chairs, 3 hygienists, built it from nothing after 4 years of working for someone else and eating ramen to pay off dental school loans. I worked 60-hour weeks because I loved what I'd built. My wife Jennifer seemed to love it too, or at least she loved the life it provided. Part-time realtor, sold maybe 4 to 6 homes a year, enough to stay busy but not enough to stress about. We had the house, the cars, the vacation photos on Instagram. From the outside, we were winning. And Kyle Brennan was my college roommate at University of Arizona. 13 years of friendship built on late-night study sessions, road trips to California, being there when his dad died sophomore year. I was the one who helped him move into his first apartment after graduation. He was the one who drove 6 hours when my mom had surgery, and I needed someone to talk to. Real friendship, or so I thought. He was my best man when Jennifer and I got married 5 years ago. Gave this beautiful toast about brotherhood and loyalty that had half the room crying. Looking back, I wonder if he felt any guilt at all, standing up there, knowing what he'd eventually do. Kyle opened a gym franchise about 4 years back, Brennan Fitness. Started with 1 location in a strip mall, eventually expanded to 3. I helped him with the business plan, introduced him to my accountant, even lent him $5,000 for equipment when his credit was maxed out. He paid me back, of course. He was always good for the money, just not good for the friendship. We had this tradition, Thursday nights, been going for years. Started in college, continued after graduation. We'd lift weights at his gym, grab beers at this dive bar we both loved, talk about business and life and whatever game was on. Sometimes we'd just sit in comfortable silence the way old friends can. It was our thing, guy time, sacred almost. I'd defend it when work got crazy, because those Thursday nights with Kyle were how I stayed sane. Jennifer actually encouraged it. She'd practically push me out the door. "You need your bro time, babe. Go have fun. You work too hard. You need to decompress." She'd kiss me goodbye, tell me not to rush home. I remember thinking how lucky I was to have a wife who understood male friendship, who wasn't jealous or possessive. I didn't know she was creating windows. I didn't know she was counting down the hours until I left so she could drive to Kyle's apartment. I didn't know that every Thursday night I spent lifting weights with my best friend, my wife was in his bed. I built my life on trust. I thought that's what good people did. Here's something you need to know about me before all this went down. I was the guy who apologized when someone stepped on my foot. Conflict avoidant doesn't even cover it. At the practice, if a patient complained, I'd comp their visit even if they were clearly wrong. If Jennifer wanted something, I'd say yes before she finished asking. My sister Laura used to tell me I was too nice, that people would take advantage. I'd laugh it off. "That's not how the world works," I'd say. "If you're good to people, they're good to you." Yeah, about that. The prenup should have been my first clue, but I was too stupid to see it. When Jennifer and I decided to get married, my lawyer insisted I protect the practice. "You're bringing a business worth over $1 million, he said. "She's bringing $12,000 in savings. You need a prenup." Jennifer cried when I brought it up. Said it meant I didn't trust her, that I was planning for divorce before we even got married. Her parents actually talked her into signing it, which I thought was classy of them. The terms seemed fair to both of us. If I cheated, or if the marriage ended in under 7 years due to my fault, she got nothing. But if she stayed faithful for 7 years and I filed for divorce, she'd get 50% of the practice's value plus alimony. My lawyer called it balanced protection. I called it being fair. Jennifer called it, as I'd later discover, her retirement plan. The cracks started small. Year 2 of our marriage, Jennifer began complaining about my work hours. "You care more about your patients than me," she'd say. I'd feel guilty and try to be home more, but running a practice doesn't work that way. Year 3, she got her realtor license. Said she needed her own thing, her own identity. I supported it completely, even helped her study for the exam. I thought it was healthy. She started spending more time away from home, showing properties, meeting clients. I thought it was ambition. She also started spending more time at Kyle's gym. Supporting his business, she'd say. She'd go to classes there, post pictures on Instagram with inspirational fitness quotes. I thought it was sweet that my wife and my best friend got along. That's what I told myself when she'd come home after one of her workouts, cheeks flushed, hair still damp from the shower, and head straight to bed, claiming she was exhausted. About 6 months ago, Jennifer started really encouraging those Thursday night gym sessions with Kyle. If I ever suggested skipping, she'd practically push me out the door. "You need this," she'd insist. "You're so stressed with work, go blow off steam." I thought she was being supportive. I didn't know she was creating windows. March 13th. That's when everything started unraveling, though I didn't know it yet. Jennifer announced she had a realtor conference in San Diego, March 13th through 16th. 3 nights, networking and seminars, all very professional. She seemed excited about it, packed this gym bag I'd never seen before, one of those expensive ones with lots of compartments. I was swamped at the practice anyway. Spring break week meant a tsunami of kids needing cleanings before summer. I kissed her goodbye in the driveway that morning, watched her drive off, went back inside to make coffee. That was the last morning I trusted anyone completely. The first weird thing happened that afternoon. Jennifer texted me from the conference, some generic message about how nice the hotel was. But in the background of her voice message, I could hear sounds that didn't match a hotel lobby, weights clanking, that specific echo of a big open gym space. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe the hotel had a fitness center. Maybe she was walking past it. But my hands were cold when I put the phone down. That evening, I did something I'd never done before. I called the hotel to send flowers to her room, this romantic gesture to surprise her. The front desk put me on hold, came back, said they had no guest registered under Jennifer Reynolds. I felt my stomach drop. Called back, said maybe she registered under her maiden name, Porter. No Jennifer Porter either. When I finally reached her 3 hours later, she had an explanation ready. Too ready. "Oh, babe, the company booked the rooms under the conference organizer's name. It's a group rate thing." It sounded plausible. I wanted it to be plausible. But I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the way she'd answered, that tiny pause before the explanation, like she was calculating. The next day, March 14th, I did something else I'd never done. I checked our shared credit card statement. I told myself I was just being thorough. Maybe I'd missed something. There were no charges for a San Diego hotel. Instead, there were charges at local restaurants I didn't recognize. And one charge in particular made my blood freeze. Brennan Fitness, guest pass 00.0. Time stamped the previous morning. She was at Kyle's gym, while supposedly in San Diego. I sat in my office between patients staring at that charge, trying to make it make sense. Maybe she'd gone to his gym before leaving? But the timestamp was 9:47 a.m. She texted me from San Diego at 10:30 a.m. Unless she could teleport, something was very wrong. I called Kyle, kept my voice casual. "Hey man, did Jennifer mention stopping by your gym yesterday?" His answer came too fast. Yeah. She wanted to try a class. Why?" "Just wondering." "Cool." I hung up. He was lying. I could feel it in every cell of my body. Kyle and I had been friends for 13 years. I knew when he was bullshitting me. This was bullshitting me. That night, I did something I'm not proud of. I searched our house. Started in the bedroom, went through drawers, the closet, under the bed. I felt insane doing it, like I was in some bad TV movie, but I couldn't stop. In the guest room closet, shoved behind some old luggage, I found that new gym bag she'd bought. My hands were shaking when I unzipped it. Normal stuff at first. Workout clothes, a water bottle, some protein bars. But there was a small zippered compartment on the inside I almost missed. I opened it. A phone fell into my lap, a cheap Android with a cracked screen, not Jennifer's usual iPhone, a burner phone. I should have seen it then, but I was still in denial. Maybe it was an old phone, maybe she used it for something innocent. I powered it on. No lock screen. And there, right on the home screen, was a text message thread with someone saved as K. The most recent message, sent that morning at 11:47 a.m., 2 more years and we split 1.2 million. Just keep him happy and dumb. Below that, Thursday was perfect. He actually thanked me for encouraging his guy time. I dropped the phone, literally dropped it on the carpet and ran to the bathroom where I threw up everything in my stomach. I sat on the cold tile floor for, I don't know how long, my mind trying to process what I'd just read. This wasn't just an affair, this was something else, something calculated. When I could move again, I picked up the phone, started scrolling. Each message was worse than the last. Year 7 is the magic number. Prenup clause triggers and we're golden. Just went through the motions with him again. I deserve an Oscar. Once we're set, we can actually be together. Then the financial planning. Spreadsheets attached. His practice is worth 2.4 million. Prenup gives me half. That's 1.2. Your cut is 360K like we agreed. They'd calculated it to the dollar, planned for Kyle's gym debts to be paid off. Discussed where they'd live after. I kept scrolling, messages mocking me. He's so trusting it's almost sad. I told him I was working late and he just said, okay, no questions. They laughed about the anniversary gift I'd been planning. Worst was the sex thread. Jennifer describing intimacy with me in clinical terms. Maintenance sex, just keeping up appearances. Kyle asked if it bothered her. It's a job. I've had worse jobs. I read that and something inside me broke. The woman I'd loved saw me as a chore, a performance, part of the con, then the milestones, their first kiss. Finally happened. He's working late again, doesn't suspect a thing. First time together, 5 years left, worth it. 1 year affair anniversary. 1 year down, 4 to go, then we're free. I sat in that bathroom, understanding I'd never really known either of these people. The wife I'd loved was a character Jennifer played. The friend I'd trusted was a stranger wearing Kyle's face. Something happened to me on that bathroom floor. The nice guy, the one who apologized and avoided conflict and trusted everyone, that guy died. What replaced him was cold and clear-headed and very, very angry. But it was a calculated anger, a strategic anger. I thought about confronting them right then, calling Jennifer, calling Kyle, screaming, breaking things. But another voice in my head, one I didn't quite recognize, said, if you blow up now, they'll cover their tracks. They'll delete everything. You'll look crazy, and they'll walk away clean. So, I made a decision that night. I was going to document everything. I was going to gather proof. And I was going to make sure when this detonated, there would be no way for them to spin it. No way to claim I was being paranoid or vindictive. They counted on me staying blind. They built their plans on my trust. Big mistake. I spent the next several hours taking screenshots of every message on that burner phone. Hundreds of them. I read through their entire conspiracy. Messages from before our wedding, where Jennifer laid out the plan. Messages where they calculated the exact dollar amounts. Messages where they laughed about how oblivious I was. Each one felt like a knife, but I documented them all. The next morning, March 15th, I called in sick to the practice for the first time in 3 years. I Googled, recovered deleted text messages Phoenix, and found a forensic analyst named Gary Mendez. His website said he worked with lawyers and private investigators. I called him. I need to recover deleted messages from a phone, I told him. How long does it take? Depends on the phone and how much data. Usually 6 to 8 hours. Can you bring it in? I was in his office within an hour. Gary was probably in his 40s, looked like the kind of guy who built computers for fun. I handed him the burner phone. He looked at me, really looked at me, and said, "You look like hell, man. You okay?" "I need to know what I'm dealing with," I said. He nodded slowly. "I'll call you when it's done." I couldn't go home. Couldn't face that empty house knowing what I knew. I called my sister Laura. "Can I come over? Don't ask why yet." Laura's always been protective of me. Older sister, nurse, pragmatic to a fault. When I showed up at her door looking like a ghost, she pulled me inside and made me sit down. I showed her the screenshots. She read them in silence, her face getting harder with each swipe. Finally, she looked up at me. "I never liked her," she said quietly. "But this is psychopath shit, Michael." "I don't know what to do," I admitted. "What do you need?" she asked. "I need to not be the nice guy anymore." Laura squeezed my hand. "Then don't be." That evening, Gary called. "You need to get back here." What I found? You're not going to believe this. I drove back to his office. It was after midnight by then. Gary had stayed late, working on the phone. He'd printed everything, organized it in this thick binder, chronological order. He handed it to me and said, "I've worked infidelity cases. This is different. This is criminal." I opened the binder. Gary had recovered over 1,200 deleted messages spanning 2 years. The full timeline of their conspiracy was laid out in front of me like a forensics report. Messages from 3 months before my wedding. Jennifer to Kyle. Met with his lawyer today about the prenup, 7-year clause, he'll never see it coming. Kyle, you sure you can fake it that long? Jennifer, for $600K, I can fake anything. Messages from 8 months into our marriage when the affair actually started. The transition from planning to execution. Sexual messages, logistics, times, and places. My Thursday gym nights, her realtor showings. His gym office after hours. Messages from year 2 where they started tracking the practice's financials. Actual spreadsheets attached, calculating net worth, projecting growth, discussing what they'd do with their share. Messages from just 6 months ago discussing backup plans. If I somehow got suspicious before year 7, they'd consider manufacturing evidence that I was cheating. They'd researched how to fabricate a case for emotional abuse. They had contingencies. And the messages where they mocked me. Those were the worst. Kyle. He gave me business advice today at the gym, told me I should diversify revenue streams. Jennifer. He asked if I wanted to renew our vows for our 5th anniversary. I almost laughed in his face. From a message sent after a family dinner with my parents. His mom hugged me and said I'm the daughter she always wanted. This is almost too easy. I couldn't finish reading. Had a full panic attack right there in Gary's office. Couldn't breathe, chest felt like it was caving in. Gary got me water, sat with me until I could function again. "This isn't about you," he said finally. "People like this, they're wired different. You could have been anybody with something they wanted." I drove home at 3 a.m. through empty Phoenix streets. My mind was this weird mix of numb and racing. I kept thinking about trust, about identity, about how I'd built my entire adult life around being trustworthy. I thought if you were good to people, they'd be good to you. I thought trust was mutual, but Jennifer had seen me as a mark from day one. And Kyle? 13 years of friendship. He'd known about my student loans, my dad's cancer scare, every important moment of my adult life. He'd stood next to me at my wedding, gave a toast about brotherhood, and he'd been planning to rob me the whole time. I pulled over on a side street and screamed in my car until my voice gave out. But something had shifted. Sitting there in my car, throat raw, hands on the steering wheel, I felt this cold clarity settle over me. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the guy with receipts. They'd spent 2 years building a trap. I had 4 weeks to build a better one. When I pulled into my driveway, I saw our house with all the lights off. Jennifer was still at her conference, coming home the next day. My phone buzzed. A text from her. "Miss you, conference is great, home tomorrow, love you." I stared at that heart emoji, at that casual love you like she hadn't spent the day planning my financial destruction with my best friend. I texted back, "Love you too, can't wait to see you." And I really couldn't wait. The next day, March 16th, Jennifer came home around noon. She was all smiles, full of stories about the conference, the networking, the seminars she'd attended. I sat on the couch and listened to her lie to my face, nodding in the right places, asking follow-up questions. Inside, I was cataloging every word, every gesture, every false smile. "You seem quiet," she said eventually. "Everything okay?" "Just tired," I said. "Busy week at the practice." She kissed me before heading upstairs to unpack. I felt nothing. That's how I knew I'd fundamentally changed. 2 weeks ago, her kiss would have made me smile. Now it just felt like being bitten by something venomous. I waited until she was in the shower, then carefully placed the burner phone back in her gym bag, exactly where I'd found it. She'd never know I'd seen it. Over the next few days, I became someone I didn't recognize. I booked an emergency appointment with Robert Fisher, the top family law attorney in Phoenix, walked into his office with Gary's evidence binder, and laid it on his desk. Robert spent 20 minutes reading in silence. Finally, he looked up at me. "This is prosecutable fraud. The prenup is void. We can destroy her." "That's the plan," I said. "We talk strategy. Arizona's fault-based divorce laws would work in my favor. With proof of a scheme to defraud, I could void the prenup completely. Jennifer would get nothing. But Robert emphasized we needed to be careful. "Don't confront until we're ready," he warned. "File all the paperwork first. Document everything. Make sure she can't delete evidence. You get one shot at this." I spent the next few weeks quietly dismantling my life with Jennifer. Opened a new bank account, redirected practice income, documented every expense, met with my accountant, moved valuables to Laura's house. Jennifer noticed nothing. I hired a PI within a week. Photographs, kissing, his apartment, a hotel, time-stamped, irrefutable. "Is this enough?" I asked Robert. "More than enough, but let's go nuclear." The hardest decision was whether to tell Emma, Kyle's fiancée. I'd met her a few times at group dinners. She was an elementary school teacher, seemed genuinely kind, was excited about their wedding in 4 months. They'd just sent out invitations. Laura pushed me. "She deserves to know. Would you want to marry someone who did this?" I struggled with it for days. Finally, I found Emma on social media and sent her an anonymous message. "You're engaged to someone who's been unfaithful. I have proof. This isn't a prank." I attached one photo, Kyle and Jennifer kissing, faces clear, date stamped, 3 days of silence, then a response. "Who is this? Why are you doing this?" "I'm the husband," I typed. "We need to talk." We met at a coffee shop. Emma walked in looking like she'd been crying for days. I showed her the evidence, not the full binder, but enough. She stared at the photos, at the message screenshots, and I watched her world fall apart the same way mine had. "I'm supposed to marry him in 4 months, she said, voice shaking. "We just sent invitations." "I'm sorry," I said. "I debated telling you." "No, you did the right thing." She wiped her eyes. "How long?" 2 years. She cried then quietly into her hands. I sat there feeling helpless. I barely knew this woman, but I understood her pain in a way few people could. "What are you going to do?" she asked finally. "I'm going to make sure everyone knows who they really are," I said. "You want in?" She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "Yeah, I do." Over the next week, the team assembled. Me, Robert, Laura, and Emma. We planned a coordinated takedown across multiple fronts. Legal, file for divorce with fraud claims, seek full assets. Social, expose the affair to both families simultaneously. Professional, report Jennifer to the Realtor Ethics Board for using work as affair cover. Community, let Kyle's family-oriented gym clientele know about the affair. We chose the date carefully. April 10th, a Thursday. My parents were having their anniversary dinner that night. Both families would be there. It was perfect. Jennifer had no idea. She went about her life, her double life, completely oblivious. Sometimes she'd cuddle up next to me on the couch and I'd have to resist the urge to shove her away. "You seem distant," she said one night. "Just stressed about work," I lied. The morning of April 10th, I woke up to Jennifer getting ready for a day of showing homes. She was chipper, humming in the bathroom. I felt nothing but cold anticipation. "Can you be home by 6?" I asked her. "My parents want to do a small anniversary dinner." She made an annoyed face. "Fine, I'll move my 5 o'clock. I knew that 5 o'clock appointment was with Kyle. I knew because I had access to her real calendar now, the one she thought was private. She left. I texted the team. Tonight, everyone in position. Robert filed the divorce papers at the courthouse at 9 a.m. Emma texted Kyle asking to talk about something important that evening, which meant he'd cancel with Jennifer, creating confusion. Laura coordinated with my parents, who knew the truth by now and were heartbroken but ready. I prepared our house, printed key evidence, set up my laptop with message threads ready to display. At 6 p.m., my parents arrived. They looked tense. Jennifer showed up 10 minutes late, frustrated because Kyle had canceled on her last minute. She sensed something was off immediately. "Everyone okay?" she asked, looking around. My mom's voice was cold. "We'll see." The doorbell rang. Laura came in first, then another ring. Kyle walked in with Emma. He looked confused. "Mike, what's this about? Emma said you called her?" Jennifer's face went white. "What is this?" "Sit down," I said calmly. "Both of you." Kyle started to protest. "Man, what the hell?" "Sit down." They sat. Emma stood next to Laura, quiet fury radiating from her. My parents sat stiffly on the couch. I stood in the center of the room and felt eerily calm. 4 weeks ago, I found a phone, I began. Not Jennifer's usual phone, a burner phone. Jennifer's mouth opened. "I don't know what you're—" "Stop, just stop." I placed the phone on the coffee table, pulled out printed message threads. 2 more years and we split 1.2 million. Just keep him happy and dumb, I read aloud. The room was silent. He actually thanked me for encouraging his guy time. I looked at my parents. "These are text messages between my wife and Kyle. Planning to rob me through our prenup clause." I opened my laptop, turned it so everyone could see the screen, showed the timeline, messages from before the wedding, financial calculations, mockery, every piece of their conspiracy laid out. Kyle tried to speak. "Michael, let me explain." "You'll get your turn," I said. I showed them everything. The deleted messages Gary had recovered, the spreadsheets calculating how to split my practice's value, Jennifer's pre-wedding texts. He'll never see it coming. The affair logistics. The backup plans to frame me if I got suspicious. "This message is from 3 months before our wedding," I said, clicking to a specific thread. Jennifer to Kyle. "Met with his lawyer today. 7-year prenup clause. He'll never see it coming." I looked at Jennifer. "You cried when I brought up the prenup. Said it hurt your feelings. Was that part of the performance?" Jennifer opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "And this one," I continued, scrolling. 8 months into our marriage, your first time together, you wrote, 5 years left, worth it." Was I worth it, Jennifer? Was pretending to love me worth 600,000? My father stood up, shaking. "You planned this? Before you even married him?" "Mr. Reynolds, please," Jennifer started. "Don't," my father said, voice breaking. "Don't call me that. I welcomed you into our family. I danced with you at your wedding. I told you I was proud to have you as a daughter." Jennifer's tears started, but she was defensive. "You don't understand." My mother cut her off. "Get out of my son's house." "Mom," Jennifer tried, reaching out. My mother stepped back like Jennifer was toxic. "Don't. You don't get to call me that anymore." Emma threw her engagement ring at Kyle. It hit him in the chest and fell to the floor with a small metallic sound that somehow cut through everything else. 2 years? 2 years? "Emma, baby, it's not—" Kyle started. "Don't baby me," Emma's voice cracked. "You were planning our wedding. We picked flowers last month." "Flowers, Kyle, while you were sleeping with her and planning to take money from your best friend." "I do love you," Kyle tried. "You love $360,000, Emma said. "I read the messages. That's your cut, right? Is that what I'm worth? What Michael's friendship is worth?" Jennifer tried to defend herself. "Michael, you were never home. I was lonely. I spent 5 years waiting for you." Laura laughed, sharp and bitter. "So you married him to rob him? That's your defense? He worked hard so you decided fraud was okay?" "I didn't. It wasn't supposed to." Jennifer was falling apart. "What wasn't it supposed to be?" I asked quietly. "You sent a text last Tuesday, said you couldn't wait to finally be free." "Free of what, Jennifer? Our marriage? Or free to spend my money?" Jennifer turned to Kyle desperately. "Say something. Help me." Kyle was silent, staring at the floor. He knew there was no way out. The doorbell rang again. Kyle's parents. I'd called them earlier, asked them to come. His mother took one look at the room and knew something was wrong. "Tell me this isn't true," she said to Kyle. "Tell me you didn't betray your best friend." Kyle couldn't look at her. "Mom, I messed up." "Messed up?" His father's voice was disgusted. "You betrayed your best friend for money." I stood there watching it all unfold. The confrontations, the tears, the shouting. I felt calm, detached almost. This was the plan, and the plan was working. "I filed for divorce this morning," I announced into the chaos. "Fraud invalidates the prenup." You get nothing, Jennifer. I looked at her tear-streaked face. I've also reported you to the Arizona Association of Realtors, using your work as cover for an affair? Ethics violation. Then I turned to Kyle. And Emma has something to say. Emma's voice shook but held. I've sent the evidence to your gym's franchise corporate office and to your client's Facebook group. They're very family-focused, Kyle. Wonder how they'll feel. Kyle stood up fast. You can't. That's my business. You tried to take mine, I said. Seems fair. Jennifer collapsed into sobs. I'm sorry, Michael, please. You're not sorry you did it, I said quietly. You're sorry you got caught. But what am I supposed to do? She screamed. Where am I supposed to go? Not my problem anymore. Kyle tried to approach me, hands up in some gesture of peace. Mike, man, we can fix this. Don't, I said, voice hard. Ever. Call me that again. My father and Laura escorted Jennifer out. She grabbed some things, still hysterical. Kyle left with his parents, his mother crying. The house slowly emptied until only Emma remained, sitting on the couch, looking shell-shocked. I sat next to her. First quiet moment in hours. How do you feel? She asked. Empty, I admitted, but lighter. We sat in silence for a while. I'd thought I'd feel victorious. Mostly I just felt tired. The next few weeks were chaos. Jennifer moved in with a friend after her parents refused to take her. She texted constantly, cycling through apologies, anger, bargaining, threats. I blocked her on Robert's advice. On social media, I watched her friend group slowly distance themselves. Word spread fast in our circles. Her realtor brokerage suspended her pending investigation. Within 2 weeks, they let her go. The ethics board found her in violation, revoked her license. She'd used business appointments as a fare cover, documented in her own calendar, professional misconduct. Kyle's fallout was even more dramatic. Emma's very public post about ending their engagement didn't name him, but it was clear enough. Gym members started asking questions, then canceling. He lost 30 to 40% of his clientele in the first 2 weeks. The corporate office reviewed his contract, found morality clauses. By week 6, he'd closed 2 of his 3 locations. His parents cut him off financially. They'd been helping him manage gym debts. Without their support, the business collapsed. The divorce proceedings were fast. Robert had built an airtight case. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge sided with me on everything. Jennifer got 0 assets, no alimony, had to cover her own legal fees. Her lawyer apparently advised her to settle quietly. She refused, thinking she could fight it. She was wrong. One day, about 3 weeks after the confrontation, I ran into Jennifer in a parking lot after a court session. She looked awful, thinner, pale, hair pulled back. She saw me, and something in her snapped. "You destroyed me!" she screamed. Other people in the parking lot turned to look. "Over what? Your ego?" Robert stepped between us. "Mrs. Reynolds, walk away." "I put up with you for 5 years," she yelled. "And you'll put up with the consequences for a lot longer," I said quietly. She tried to say more, but her lawyer pulled her away. I watched her go, this woman I'd married, who I'd trusted with everything. I felt nothing. A few weeks later, I heard Jennifer had been hospitalized with a severe panic attack, lost her realtor license, living in a cheap apartment, working retail. I told Laura about it. "Part of me feels sick," I admitted. "Good," Laura said firmly. "She earned it." Did I go too far? "Mike, she was going to take everything. You defended yourself." But the doubt lingered. Late at night, alone, I wondered about the person I'd become. The old Michael would never have done this, but the old Michael would have been robbed blind. Emma and I met for coffee regularly. About a month after everything she said, I heard Kyle lost his main location. The franchise pulled his contract. "I should feel bad," Emma said. "I don't." "Me neither. But I thought I would." She smiled sadly. "That's what makes us different from them. We still have consciences." Something shifted in that moment. Not romantic, not yet. Just recognition. We understood each other in a way no one else could. About 6 weeks after the confrontation, Kyle showed up at my practice. My receptionist called, nervous. I came out. Kyle stood there looking rough. "You have 30 seconds, I said. "I'm sorry. I was stupid, greedy. I miss my friend." "You were never my friend. Friends don't do this." I lost everything, man. And I almost lost everything to your plan. You don't get forgiveness. Leave. He left. We never spoke again. 2 months after the reveal, Jennifer sent a physical letter since I'd blocked her everywhere else. Against Robert's advice, I read it. It was full of apologies mixed with excuses. You were emotionally unavailable, she wrote. I was lonely. She begged for money, made veiled threats about telling people I'd exaggerated. I took the letter to Robert. This is attempted extortion, he said. We can press charges. No, I decided. I'm done. Let her live with what she did. I burned the letter in my fireplace, watched it curl and blacken and turn to ash. It felt symbolic. My social life took hits too. Some friends reached out, supportive. Others stayed silent, maybe not wanting to choose sides. 2 mutual friends who stayed close to Jennifer actually cut me off, like I was the villain in this story. That hurt more than I expected. I learned who my real friends were, I told Laura. That hurts too. The trash took itself out, she said pragmatically. But I could see she understood. Ironically, my practice thrived. Word spread about what happened, and people respected how I'd handled it. New patients specifically chose me. We heard your story, they'd say. We're sorry that happened. I became known for my divorce instead of my dental work, which felt strange. But I was struggling internally. 3 weeks after the confrontation, I finally called a therapist. Dr. Sarah Chen came highly recommended. Our first session, I sat in her office and didn't know where to start. My wife and best friend conspired to rob me, I said finally, for 2 years, and I never saw it coming. That's not a failure on your part, she said gently. That's a testament to how well they hid it. We met weekly. She helped me understand that trust wasn't weakness, but my inability to see red flags had been. That the old Michael who avoided all conflict wasn't healthy, but becoming someone who trusted no one wasn't either. You're looking for a middle ground, she explained. Someone who can trust, but who also has boundaries, who can be kind without being a doormat. I don't know how to be that person, I admitted. You'll figure it out, one decision at a time. I started making changes, small ones at first. Hired a second associate at the practice, something Jennifer had always discouraged. You don't need help, she'd say. You can handle it. Now I realized she'd wanted me overworked, distracted, easier to fool. Started taking real lunches instead of eating at my desk. Took up cycling again, a hobby I'd abandoned because Jennifer thought it was boring. Joined a cycling group that met Saturday mornings. Made new friends who knew nothing about my divorce, who just liked riding bikes and grabbing breakfast after. My parents noticed the changes. You seem lighter, my dad said at one of our weekly dinners. Still sad, but lighter. I'm working on it, I said. We're proud of you, my mom added. What you've been through, it would have destroyed some people. Some days it feels like it did destroy me, I admitted. But you're here, Laura said. You're healing. That's what matters. Emma and I kept meeting for coffee. It became weekly, then twice a week. We talk about healing, about trust, about rebuilding. We became friends first, real friends. She'd tell me about her students, the funny things kindergartners said. I'd tell her about difficult patients, practice drama, normal conversation between normal people, but gradually it became more than that. I'd catch myself looking forward to our coffee dates all week, wondering what she'd wear, if she'd laugh at my jokes. And I'd notice her doing the same, the way her face lit up when I walked into the cafe, how she'd saved my usual table. 6 months after everything, sitting across from her at our usual cafe, something felt different. The air was charged somehow. Kyle's been texting me, she said, says he's in therapy, wants closure. How do you feel about that? Nothing, she said, and she sounded almost surprised. I look at his name and feel absolutely nothing. Is that wrong? That's when you know you're healing, I said. She reached across the table and touched my hand. Are you healing? Getting there. Some days are harder. You'll get through this. That touch lingered longer than friendship required. We both noticed. Neither of us pulled away. Her thumb traced small circles on the back of my hand, and I felt something I thought was dead wake up inside me. Emma, I started. I know, she said softly. I feel it too. We sat there for a long moment, hands linked across the table, coffee getting cold, Neither of us knowing exactly what to say next, but both of us knowing something had shifted. 2 months later, I finally worked up the courage to ask her to dinner, just us. A real date, not just coffee. She said yes before I finished asking. I took her to a nice Italian place, the kind with candles and good wine and couples on dates. I was nervous in a way I hadn't been since high school. What if this ruined our friendship? What if I wasn't ready? What if she realized I was too damaged? "You're quiet tonight," Emma said, studying me over the menu. "Everything okay?" I really like you," I blurted out, "and I'm terrified of screwing this up." She smiled, this beautiful, genuine smile. "Michael, I really like you too, and we're not going to screw this up because we're actually communicating. See? We're already doing better than before." "This feels different," I said. "Good different," she agreed. I was so angry for so long, at Kyle, at myself for not seeing it. Now I just feel free, like I dodged something catastrophic. Same. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I hadn't found that phone. If I'd gone the full 7 years. But you did find it. You protected yourself. You were strong. I didn't feel strong, I admitted. I felt destroyed. "Strength isn't not feeling destroyed," Emma said. "It's getting up anyway." At the end of the night, I walked her to her car. We stood there in the parking lot under terrible fluorescent lights, and I kissed her. It was gentle, tentative, nothing like the desperate physical relationship I'd had with Jennifer. It felt real. It felt like the beginning of something honest. Over the next 3 months, Emma and I dated, actually dated, like adults who'd been through hell and knew what they wanted. No games, no lies, just honest communication. We introduced each other to our families. My parents loved her. Her parents loved me. It was easy in a way I hadn't known relationships could be. "I didn't know it could be like this," I told her one night, cooking dinner together. "Like what?" "Easy, real. You actually listen when I talk," she smiled. "That's just basic respect, Michael." "Yeah, I didn't have that before." 1 year after finding that burner phone, March 15th rolled around again. I woke up with that date heavy in my mind. Emma texted, "Thinking about you today. Remember what today is?" "Yeah, hard to forget." "Want company?" "Yes." She came over that evening. We sat on my back patio with wine, watching the Phoenix sunset. "I need to tell you something," I said. "Okay. Sometimes I still don't trust this. Us. I wait for the other shoe to drop." "That makes sense," Emma said gently. "What they did to us? It's not fair to you. You're nothing like them. But my brain doesn't always remember that. Michael?" She took my hand. "I'm not going anywhere. Take your time. We have time." "You're sure?" "I'm kind of a mess." "We both are. That's why this works." 18 months after everything exploded, my life looked completely different. The practice was thriving. I'd hired a second associate, finally learned to delegate. Emma and I had moved in together around month 14, a big step that felt right. I was still in therapy, less frequently now, but it helped. I'd learned something fundamental. I wasn't the same person. That nice guy who apologized for everything, who avoided conflict, who trusted everyone, he was gone. I didn't know if that was good or bad. I was harder now, more careful, slower to trust. But I was also happier. My relationship with Emma was built on honesty and respect, things I'd thought I had with Jennifer but never really did. Emma challenged me when I needed it, supported me through the rough days, celebrated the small victories. "You're different than when we met," Emma said one morning over coffee. "Is that okay?" "More than okay. You have boundaries now. You know your worth." I learned the hard way. We both did. Last I heard, Jennifer had moved to Oregon, working retail, trying to start over. Her social media was sparse, vague posts about new beginnings. I didn't follow her, but mutual friends mentioned it. I felt nothing about it. Not satisfaction, not pity, just nothing. Kyle's gym business had completely collapsed. He filed bankruptcy, ended up working as a personal trainer at someone else's gym. His parents spoke to him occasionally, but the relationship was damaged. Some mutual friends said he'd tried to reach out to people from our old friend group. Most declined. People sometimes ask if I regret how I handled it, if I'd do anything different. The answer is no. They were going to take everything from me. I just got there first. But the real lesson wasn't about revenge. It was about trust. I used to think trust meant believing in people no matter what, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, assuming good intentions. Now I know better. Trust is earned, and protecting yourself isn't betrayal, it's survival. Emma and I took a weekend trip to Sedona recently. We were hiking one of the trails, red rocks stretching forever, and she took my hand. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, and I meant it. I really am. I looked at the view, this expansive, beautiful landscape, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the fake peace I'd had with Jennifer, where I ignored red flags and convinced myself everything was fine. Real peace. I built my life on trust. They built their plans on my blindness, but I'm not blind anymore. And my life, it's finally mine. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. I don't know if you'll ever face something like this. I hope you don't. But if you do, document everything. Protect yourself. And don't feel guilty about it. Nice guys don't have to finish last. Sometimes we finish with receipts.